Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Soto, you've had 2 days to calm down. Let the emotions pass over you after not even the biggest lead that we've blown this season after losing when we were up 20-0 against Arizona. Now lose after being up 17-0 against the Chiefs. Had a chance to relax a little bit. I can see that twinkle in your eye again. I can see the color come back in your face.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling a couple days after?
Shitty.
Still shitty? You're just hiding it better? Your eyes do look browner.
Oh yeah.
You're always full of shitty.
I'm more shitty. Full of shit. It is what it is, man. That is the exact way you didn't want to start off before the bye, because for whatever reason we seem to have early buys every year. And then we get long stretches, and hopefully we don't have to deal with a lot of injuries, because we don't. That middle of the week of the year bye probably would be better, but I mean, we got to pick up the pieces. Hopefully, this bye week came at the exact right time for us to pull our shit together and hit that next stretch, because these next 5 games, very winnable.
Let's hope so, because we're gonna need that time off. Great time for a bye week, because I'm gonna be heading to Abu Dhabi on Monday for the UFC. Ironically, Rory is in Dubai right now for his work. For those of you who don't own a globe, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are a 45-minute drive away from each other. So we might just do like an all Middle East Autumn Windbags next week. I don't know. We'll see.
It's thinking like everything's like so rich out there. They give like a solid gold fucking lounge chair, and
we'll do it from the inside of our own Ferraris. That would like some Sultans.
That'd be pretty sweet. What was that? What was that show that Jerry Seinfeld had, like conversations with comedians in cars or something like that?
Getting coffee with comedians in cars,
or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Or the Cars one was Jay Leno, right?
He was in a car. I think it was comedians getting coffee in cars.
Whatever it was.
Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah, Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld
would be talking bullshit in Beamers with the boys in Abu Dhabi, Dubai.
Stop.
Because I can go with the alliteration. I can keep going all I want.
Oh, my God.
Question of the day, and we're going to post this question down in the comment section, pinned. Let us know what your answer to this question is. What grade from A+ to F do you give the Raiders quarterback Derek Carr so far this season? We graded Josh McDaniels last week. We figure it's time to give Derek Carr a look-see here, 5 games into the 2022-2023 season. So the record trash, but Derek Carr specifically, how is he doing? And I'm very, very curious what you think, Soto, because you are the harshest Derek Carr critic that I know, and you pull it way back on the show. Like, how hard our listeners think you go into Derek Carr on the show is not even a tenth of how hard you go into on our text chain.
So I did that to freaking rile you up.
This is the tame. This is Soto being tame on QB1, what you hear him say. But I'm very curious what you're going to think so far, because the biggest one is what was his biggest issue. And we all have all of our fingers crossed and hoping and praying to whatever God we believe in, that this is the new norm and not a fluke. Derek Carr is one of the worst turnover machines in football, both interceptions and fumbles.
Wait. For all those people that were crushing me on last week's episode, please say that one more time.
Last season and historically, Derek Carr is one of the bigger turnover quarterbacks in football. Not even a question.
That's
even
not
the biggest,
me being harsh on him. That's
even the biggest Carr appreciators and cheerleaders can acknowledge.
They have to acknowledge
all the
fumbles
that he drops, right? This season, if you take away game 1, right? We'll get to week 1. But if you get rid of week 1, 0 turnovers this season. If you don't include the Darren Waller off of his hands into the Tennessee DB's arms right away, right? It is technically an interception. But if you take away that was 100% Waller's fault. He hasn't dropped the ball. He hasn't thrown an interception. And there wasn't even like a lot of them that were close. Like even the best quarterbacks, they get lucky, right? It bounces right off the DB's hands or throws into triple coverage and 2 guys fight over it, right? Like he hasn't even had those really. Like he's thrown in double coverage a couple times, but it was Davante Adams beating 2 Chiefs and getting a touchdown double coverage, right? It was like beautiful passes like that, right? Yeah. So after the 3 interception week 1, and fortunately he had 2 fumbles in week 1, neither one of them recovered, so not actual turnovers, but it did go on the turf. He hasn't caused 1 turnover since. That's 4 straight weeks of no turnovers. Wrong button, right? 4 straight weeks of no turnovers. That's awesome. That's fantastic. That's incredible. Is that McDaniels pulling him back? Is that Carr figuring something out? Is that the scheme? I don't know. I just hope whatever it is, it
keeps
continues.
on rolling. Yeah.
So there's just that part, just his biggest black eye of himself as a quarterback, essentially eliminated as of right this second, which is amazing, right? So the biggest knock on Carr out the window. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks the last 4 weeks when it comes to keeping the ball under control. Every single game has been a multi-touchdown game, ironically, minus the Denver game that we won, right? Completion percentage, a little over 60%. And passer rating of 87.7. So extremely efficient, extremely good with the ball, and very different than last season, right? Last season, remember the first 4 or 5 weeks, we couldn't win unless Carr threw for 400 yards, right? In the early part of last season. Now it's opposite. Now we can't win with a super efficient quarterback. So I'll let you go first, Mr. Okay. Always finding a reason to rake Derek Carr over the coals.
It's not raking over the coals.
The first 5 weeks of this season, not what do you think he's going to do in the future, not judging on his entire career. The first 5 weeks of this season, what grade do you give Derek Carr?
I give him a solid B.
Okay.
I give him a solid B. As far as him not turning the ball over, if you're going to give him credit for not turning it over in Tennessee because it was a drop pass, he did fumble this last game and got the ball taken away from him.
Whoa. He was viciously assaulted.
Okay, wait. Come on. If you're going to play one side, you got to play the other. Mac Hollins saved his fucking ass by becoming the DB and knocking an interception out of a DB's hands at the end zone. So you got to take the good with the bad, man, unfortunately. So he did turn the ball over. But he is much more efficient as far as turnovers go. One thing that the reason why I don't give him a higher grade is, the first half against the Chargers, 3 points. The second half against the Cardinals, 3 points. Like, those are games that were winnable games, but these long stretches without points kills us. This Chiefs game coming out of halftime, we don't score anything in the third quarter while we let the Chiefs take the lead with 2 touchdowns. Like, you got to put up something, especially when you're playing the Chiefs. I got knocked about. How come you never blame the defense? Defense didn't get stops. I'm like, well, we had a 3-score lead. We had to get some stops to get the 3-score lead. So when you're saying that the defense didn't get stops, they did. They gave you enough stops to get a 3-score lead. Then they gave you a stop to get the ball back at the end of the game. So you got to keep scoring because you're not going to be able to stop a team like that for a long stretch of time. So unfortunately, or fortunately, or irregardless of that, he's the leader of the offense. He's the guy with the ball in his hands. He's allowed to make checks. You can't have those long stretches without scoring. That's the only reason I'm not giving him a higher grade than a B. We've seen him miscommunicate a lot, and I don't know who that's on. I'm not going to put that for or against him because we've seen him throw passes where there's nobody else in this fucking screen. Yeah. But the formula that we had the last 2 games is the one that's going to work for us. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And I don't think game manager is a bad moniker to put on a quarterback at all. I think our quarterback played like a game manager against the Chiefs, but you take those shots when they're available, right? When you have that one-on-one coverage, you take those shots. When you have the matchups, you take those shots. But by and large, You can just move the ball down the field, rely on your running game, protect your offensive line. But yeah, I think that a solid B is a very fair grade for Mr.
I give him the same grade, but for very, very different reasons. I would go higher, but week 1 did happen. Did throw 3 picks, did put the ball in the turf twice, right? Like he's trended amazing, and it feels like it's been fixed, but it still happened.
Mm-hmm.
I also get him higher up because I don't think game manager applies here because he has put on the cape when he's had to. And oftentimes it's someone else letting him down. Like on Monday night, if Davante would have caught that second to last pass, right, instead of bumbling it, they're in field goal range, you win, right? That wasn't on. More times this season, the team has let Carr down than Carr has let the team down. So far in 5 games this season.
Look, that was a difficult catch, though.
It was right here, dude.
It was not right
but
there.
It was right here. I mean, best wide receiver in football, you make that catch, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Average wide receiver in football.
It's the same. It's the same argument that we had when we were talking about the Waller drop. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as easy to catch as people are trying to make it out to be. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have caught it, but we're not saying that he dropped it in the bucket. It was still, a catch that Davante.
You would have caught that pass, Soto.
Oh, stop it! I do have nice hands.
Yeah, beautiful hands. Very soft, squishy. And 2, the other part is, this is the most divorced I credit or blame Carr with the offense in probably 4 or 5 seasons because we're running it so much. The line is such a mess. It's such a scheme dependent, right? It's like very Josh McDaniels, his imprint on stuff. So you're right. There's still no individual player more important than the quarterback for sure. But that role is smaller this season than it has been since like pre-Gruden. Like it's been like 5 seasons since Carr isn't make or break this offense, right? And so, and the offense has been doing pretty good, right?
So
like
the last 2 games is what you want. We
scored more against Denver than anyone. We scored more against KC than anyone, minus Brady's Bucks.
Points,
I think the Cardinals we scored, like even like the Chargers have a phenomenal defense. We still put up 24, right? So it's not even the offense is doing terrible. It's just it's me so much more focused on Carr specifically when I grade Carr compared to the offense as a whole. Where normally you can just be like offense and the quarterback, they're basically the same. Like this, not so much this season. So yeah, the turnovers under control, massive, huge. God, I hope it's a thing. I hope it's like permanent now, right? Great ball control. I think the team has let him down more than he's let the team down. So I go B. So we have the same score. That same score. B so far. Yeah, B. And the best part is, like we've been talking about Josh McDaniels, offense, defense. I think this applies to Carr as well, that as time goes on, everything should only improve. He's getting to know Davante better, right? They're back together again. Waller didn't play any preseason and has been injured or shitty for the last, all season. They start vibing again. This system, they start vibing. Like this offense should, as it starts finding its identity, right? It took Josh McDaniels 4 games for him to do what we've been yelling at him to do. Screens, run the ball, right? The identity starts happening. So solid B, but I feel like we're trending in a great direction as well, despite the terrible record.
Yeah, I really a couple of more throws in the red zone would have bumped that up to an A because that's at least one more win. That does bother me. The touchdowns that we did.
Well, let me ask you
score,
this: If Waller caught those 2 touchdown passes in Nashville, if Davante catches that,
man, look,
would you have changed your grade? We're 3 and 2, and
yeah.
Carr's got.
Well, yeah, I would have changed my grade.
Yeah,
but you also have to take a look at the reads that he missed in the red zone. You have to take a look at his overall, completion percentage in the red zone. The touchdowns that he did throw were deep passes. It wasn't like he was throwing the ball in those tight windows in those short time frames. Jimmy Johnson said this. He said this to Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman says it all the time. You are who you are in between the 20s. Mm-hmm. In the red zone, everything that's bad about you is magnified 5 times. So if you lock onto your receiver, if you don't go through progressions well, if you aren't super accurate. That's going to become more magnified in the red zone. And we've seen that. We've seen, as you want to talk about Waller dropping a touchdown pass in the red zone, he also knocked the pass that was coming straight to the defender, and he reached his arm out and knocked it down.
So if you were in the red zone, your dick would be 5 inches because it would be 5 times bigger.
5 times bigger, exactly.
Jimmy Johnson would be out there with a ruler.
A ruler. You got
the half ruler.
The half ruler, yeah, the little half seat. The little sewing ruler.
Don't need the extra artillery.
Yeah. But yeah, and so you can't take a look at the things that went against Derek Carr and not look at the thing that Derek Carr did poorly himself. So it all blends in together. It all gets thrown into the blender, and what comes out is, sub 40% completion percentage in the red zone, and we just can't have that. So a couple more passes here and there, and it's a totally different ballgame. And that's how razor thin, winning in the NFL is. You get a couple penalties here and there that aren't Carr's fault. Get a couple of drop passes that aren't Carr's fault. Maybe a bad read here and there or a bad throw here and there. It all adds up. But ultimately, you have halves where you score 3 points. You come out of the against the KC, you come out of a halftime and you score 0 points in the third quarter. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's a tough league to win in. So that's why you never apologize for a victory in the NFL.
I would laugh in your face if you had told me preseason that Derek Carr would be outplaying Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow by far to start the first games. But that's what's happening. It's wild. All right, that's the question of the day. Pin down. What do you grade Derek Carr so far this season? Unanimous grade by Soto.
B? Song B? I say B.
Interesting. BB. Big B's from the two of us. Well, speaking of Davante Adams, he in trouble.
Oof.
You all saw it. We'll show it to you again. Pushed the he wasn't actually a cameraman. He was like an assistant. He was like a student. It was his first day, which kind of explains why he's like doesn't know where to go and was like, oh, I'm just gonna run in front of these players in the tunnel that they're supposed to be walking through, and like doesn't know what's happening, right? Davante Adams gives him a shove, goes to the floor, keeps walking. I love how Kuntz is just like right behind him and just like steps over the kid and doesn't even faze him, and he goes down. The guy has press charges, and the city of Kansas City police department is charging Davante Adams with assault. No word yet from the NFL what that punishment will be from him, with fine, suspension, nothing, whatever. Davante Adams has publicly apologized. This college student has acquired the services of Brown and Curry law firm. They've released a statement. What happened was egregiously unsportsmanlike and an act of violence that should not be excused by the NFL. Curry said his firm is continuing to investigate the incident and evaluate his legal options, a.k.a. sue the shit out of him.
Yep.
So his frustration showed, and it turned into a college kid getting shoved because he got on the train tracks.
Look, am I faulting the kid, or am I blaming him for going out for the? Because this is a fucking money grab. This is all it is. It's not going to trial. Mm-hmm. Nothing's going to happen to Davante Adams. He's going to settle. He's going to give the kid a nice little chunk of change, and that's it. It's a fucking money grab. That's all this is. And do I blame him for doing it? No, I would do it. If someone with money pushed me to the ground and it was on national
TV, the fuck out of Davante Adams.
I wouldn't have popped back up. That guy's a fucking rookie. I would have stayed on the ground. I would have fucking banged my own head against the ground. Fuck that. But look,
do some pro wrestling, get the razor blade, start cutting your own face against the turnbuckle.
You got to fucking get juice, get some juice.
You'd immediately find a wheelchair, get one of those like foam neck braces.
Bro, I would bang my elbow against the ground and just try to fucking break anything I could. And everyone out there, don't fucking lie like you wouldn't either.
You'd get up with a slur, Dude,
I would. A bigger one than I already have. But look, this kid is not wearing a helmet, so his peripheral vision is not obscured.
He's probably going to wear a helmet in court.
Yeah, Davante Adams is wearing a helmet. He's walking straight ahead. His head was down. The players are getting pelted with beer bottles, beer cans, all kinds of shit, cups of beer. They're getting pelted with all kinds of trash, getting screamed at, getting yelled at. Their mama's cussed out. Then you see something flash right in front of your face. Not only did they flash in front of your face, if Davante Adams kept walking at his own pace, he would have bumped into him regardless. He would have bumped into him. So it's not like Davante Adams had to reach out and reach his arms out to push the kid.
Mm-hmm.
He would have bumped into him. So this guy runs into the path of Davante Adams, who wasn't moving super fast. So it wasn't like Davante was running and the timing was there.
Yeah.
If Davante would have bumped into the kid, it would have been the kid's fault because the kid didn't see. He was running and he didn't look and see where he was going. Davante Adams doesn't know this is not some crazy fan trying to storm the field. They're already throwing shit at him, right? It was a high leverage game. The crowd was going crazy. You just don't know, and you can't trust the security of a visiting, let alone a home security, let alone a visiting security. They ain't gonna do shit. So there's a lot of stuff that Davante and his lawyer can say because it was bad that was caught on tape, but it was also good that was caught on tape because you see the kid running right in front of Davante. Davante pushes the kid because, hey, I don't know. That would be my defense. I don't know if this is a freaking crazy fan. He's dressed like a normal kid. He runs right in front of me. I'm walking at a normal leisurely.
He's holding what looks like a deadly weapon.
I think he has something in his arm. He has something in his hand. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm getting cussed out.
He's armed like a Ninja Turtle.
I'm telling you.
All you can do is laugh at. Literally, everyone should be laughing at this except for Davante. The kid's laughing all the way to the bank. We're laughing.
The lawyers are laughing to the bank.
Lawyers laughing. They're getting paid. Davante's lawyers are laughing. They're getting paid. If Davante gets suspended, we're gonna, those laughs will be downgraded to a small whimper. But it's like you said, pure cash grab. That's all it is. Like, there's no victim here. Think about it. This kid is going to sue the pants off of Davante and settle for like 6 figures, right? Davante Adams just signed a 5-year, $140 million deal.
He'll get $100,000. He'll get $100,000.
He's going to get 6 figures from this, right? The thing said it was a college. Now, this kid isn't saying his identity, which is probably pretty wise considering how Raider Nation rolls. But this is going to be the richest kid at freaking Kansas City Junior College next year, right? Like, he's getting 6 fingers from Davante Adams.
6 fingers?
Right? 6 fingers. A 6-finger death punch. He's gonna be wealthy, right? He's gonna be a very, very wealthy boy for being an idiot and running in front of a football player, right? So there's no victims here. I liken it to kind of the whole like Deshaun Watson thing where it's like, who's really the victim, right? Deshaun Watson points his boner at a chick. She says no, and now she gets to sue Deshaun Watson for 6 figures. Like, who would you rather be in that situation, Soto? Deshaun or the girl?
The girl.
That's my point. Now, Deshaun made that bed. Ironically, unmade the bed, depending on how you look at it, right? So, like, it's his fault. But, like, who's really the victim? The person, the massage therapist who's used to making $18 an hour that's now got 6 figures in the bank? Or, that's not a victim to me, right? So this kid's not a victim here.
He's the kid. Look, I'm not even touch the fucking Deshaun Watson thing. You open that bag, I am not touching that bag. This kid,
you already did. You already said you'd rather be the girl.
Yeah, because my mentality, I wouldn't be like emotionally scarred from some dude wagging his dick at me. I live in Long Beach. I live in Long Beach. There's a lot of bums out here by the beach. You see that shit all the time. Yeah. As far as this kid goes, he got diagnosed with whiplash and he has headaches now. Like, this kid is so full of fucking horseshit.
Anyone can find a shady chiropractor and be like, oh, yeah.
We know a couple.
Yeah. Davante Adams gave him cancer with the push.
Oh, God, it's terrible. Dude, and this guy, look, let's just call it what it is. He doesn't run in front of Davante Adams. He runs into Davante Adams. Davante Adams, without pushing the guy, would have bumped into him. So he runs into the path of Davante Adams. And Davante Adams reacts like, it wasn't like he looked at the guy and said, man, fuck this guy. It's, oh shit, who's this? Then he sees who it was. He's like, oh, it's just some fucking guy. All right. I'm cool. It's not a fucking drunk fan.
A deadly attacker with a weapon. And this also goes to this, like, so often you hear people say, oh man, rich celebrities are above the law. They get to do what they want. They get to buy their way out of trouble. It's literally the opposite. You never see somebody get hit by a 1988 Volkswagen Scirocco and go like, oh, I need a backiotomy. Oh, call a lawyer, right?
Practices in the backiotomy.
Right? When a car's worth $2,000, no one does that. Now, if you get hit by a 7 Series Beamer, then you're like, oh my God, my skull's cracked in twain. I'm paralyzed for life. Get my lawyer on the phone. I'm going to sue the shit out of this guy, right?
Got that stanky leg working.
It's literally the opposite. Now you get the examples of like O.J. Simpson can just like buy the best defense, right? Like a murder trial. But most of the time, and I'm not saying feel sorry for the rich and famous or celebrity athletes. I'm not saying feel sorry for them. I'm saying it's not like they get to always get out of trouble. Everyone around them is looking to get rich off this person. And what I learned from this whole mess is next time I'm ever at a football game and I'm on the field and really pissed off players are running into the tunnel, I'm running in front of as many of them as I can. Give me the biggest fucking defensive tackle running as fast as he can, and I'm going to run right in front of him. Get clocked, have a little tiny bruise on my hip for about 3 minutes, and I get to add an extra wing to my house. That's the lesson I learned from this.
That'd be nice.
Speaking of Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show, as he does every Tuesday, I believe, and talked about a bunch of stuff. Tuesdays, right? With our boy AJ Hawk.
Yeah.
And talked about a bunch of stuff. And one of the things he talked about was, the loss to the Giants in England. Giants 4-1 right now. Crazy, right? And everyone's kind of thinking, like, oh, how'd the Giants beat the Packers? Like, it's crazy. And Aaron Rodgers kind of talking about his mentality, but he said something at the end of this that you picked up, Soto, and I'm curious if all y'all pick it up as well. Take a listen.
And we know what comes along with that is when we don't achieve victory, the scrutiny is probably a little higher. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, this is what we want. We want an expectation of greatness to win every time we take the field.
When we lose, we're not going to flip out. We're not going to panic. We're not going to go crazy.
It's about a standard of excellence, and the excellence is related to the championship caliber potential. Every year we take the field, and we embrace that. I embrace that. I love that. And when we come up short, we're going to be accountable. And at the same time, we're not going to panic. We're not going to, flip out, go crazy. We're going to, get back to the basics.
We're not going to flip out. We're not going to panic. We're not going to go crazy.
Interesting. What happened the night before from his former teammate who broke up with him?
Because this is done Tuesday morning, right?
Yeah,
literally like
hours after this
14 hours after Davante shoved that kid, right? Well, it would have been what? So 8:30.
That's after 8:30 is what Central Time would be.
Well, 8:30. Well, 8:30 our time, and Pat McAfee shows 9 to 12 our time. So yeah, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay, hours. Whatever. Yeah, let's just say 12 hours.
I had it right. Don't correct me. So it's fresh on his mind. He probably overheard Pat and AJ talking about that very topic before he came on air. Everyone's got the Davante Adams shove kind of in the back of their mind. And then Aaron Rodgers says, yeah, when we lose, we're not going to go nuts, cause a stir.
Flip out, go crazy.
Is he taking the dig at Aaron Rodgers or at Davante Adams?
Knowing what I know of Aaron Rodgers, 100% yes.
You mean Aaron Rodgers would be passively aggressive against someone who, in his mind, may have slightly wronged him?
Is petty as fuck? You kidding me? Yeah, he's petty as fuck. And I definitely feel like this is 100% a dig at Davante Adams and his situation currently.
So when you first put this out there, I didn't really see what you were saying. You sent me the 1 minute clip and I listened to it. I'm like, maybe he sent me the wrong clip. I'm not really seeing what he's talking about. Is Aaron Rodgers fully capable of being this petty and passively aggressively taking a dig on an ex-teammate? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do I think he's doing it on purpose to Davante Adams now? I'm not so sure. They've had nothing but a cordial relationship since, they were boys before. And Davante even said, like, I requested this trade after I talked to Aaron Rodgers, which kind of made everyone think, oh, Aaron maybe only has like a year or two left. Davante doesn't want to sign like a 5-year contract with a team that he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers, doesn't know who the quarterback is, right? It's like, all right, let me make my move now, kind of with Aaron's blessing, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not so sure Rodgers is fully capable of it, and they have already kind of done subtle digs, or Rodgers has done the subtle dig, right? When Davante said, from one Hall of Famer to another, right, kind of comparing Carr to Rodgers, and Rodgers made his comment about, well, yeah, that Hall of Fame, I'm getting a Hall of Fame wide receiver now, right? Is that all in good? That could be an all in good fun, right? Like when I'm shitting on you on public, right? It's like, it's all in good fun because we know each other. And it's even times a million when you have literally $100 million athletes saying this to media who are making $50,000 a year, right? They're almost like peasants where it's like, we can dig at each other and kind of let the underlings say what they want because we're the world famous bajillionaires, right? Yeah. So it's like, that's how that level of people talk. I've been inside that world slightly, right? That's how these.
Or has that world been inside you slightly?
It's not slightly. Not slightly. When they're in all the way. But you see my point, right? Like it could be an actual dig with malicious intent. It could be a fun dig, and he like texted Davante right after, or it could have been nothing. I'm leaning unintentional fun dig.
It could have been just a shitty move dig. Maybe not malicious intent, mm-hmm. like calling him an asshole or whatever, but it could have been like a shitty little comment, which, I mean, we all know Aaron Rodgers is more than capable of making.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know necessarily that Davante got Aaron Rodgers' blessing to request a trade. Mm-hmm. It could have been like, well, I have to take this into consideration after every season and see how my body is molding with the earth and see if I want to come back. Be like, man, fuck all that. Trade my ass. I ain't trying to go through this every single season. Could have gone that way.
Yeah.
So from what I know of Aaron Rodgers and from his track record of being kind of shitty and taking those digs at people, it wouldn't surprise me if this was a shitty dig at Davante Adams.
So the Raiders are 1-4, and I stumbled on this on Instagram. And for those on the podcast, it's an Instagram story, and it's showing the power rankings that the NFL has after week 5, starting from number 32 all the way to number 31, right? Scrolling through Insta, I stop on this. I'm like, oh, I wonder where they have the Raiders. 20, 28, 27, right? Where there's 4 other teams with a similar record as us. So are they going to?
We got the second draft pick in the fucking draft right now. Like if the draft would be held tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's like pure, pure metrics of record as opposed to like power rankings where they think you go, right? So I'm like, all right, where they put us? And I'm watching this. It's like, all right, 32 Panthers, 31 Texans, 30 Commanders. All right, we're probably next at 21. No, Bears. Okay. Oh, then Colts. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. They suck. Steelers. Yeah, they suck too. We're probably next. Lions. Okay, same record. Jags. Wait, 25. Seahawks ahead of it. Did I miss it? Broncos. Okay, we beat them, but Falcons. Patriots ahead of us. Browns ahead of us. Cardinals. They beat us. I must have missed it. There's no way that they have us higher than this. I must have missed it. 16 Saints. 15 Rams. Okay, they definitely missed us. 14.
Whoa, ahead of the Rams, huh?
They got us ranked 14th, NFL.com, in the power rankings after week 5, after we just went 1-4 and only beat the lowly Broncos and lost to the lowly Cardinals. They got us at 1-4. I thought, this is crazy.
Maybe somebody messed up because our record is 1-4 and you put 1-4 together and that's 14.
That makes as much sense as anything. So I was like, all right.
Trying to find it out.
let me go to NFL.com and see like what their reasoning is. It's like, all right, they must have a good reason. All they did was shit on the Raiders in this blurb. The script is beyond tired for the Raiders. Josh McDaniels' team was once again on the wrong side of a coin flip game, this time an excruciating 30-29 defeat to the Chiefs at Arrowhead that dropped Vegas into the AFC West cellar. The circumstances on Monday night were particularly cruel. Josh Jacobs came up inches short on a 2-point conversion try that would have put the Raiders ahead, which is a little bit to play. On the ensuing possession, Adams had a sideline reception to put the team in field goal range. The final seconds wiped away by an official review. When Adams and Hunter Renfrow collided on the subsequent 4th and 1st pass attempt, it was a fitting end to an infuriating night, another chapter in an infuriating season for the team from the desert. All they did was talk about how shitty we played and how like infuriating that game was, and no reason why they rank us an above average. There's 16 teams in the NFL, and they have us at 14. We went up a spot after losing. We went up a ranking. We were 15th last week at 1-3, and we went up a ranking at 1-4. So my thinking is we live and die at the Autumn Windbags by every win and loss, right? We're the Raider fans, right? We're not objective. We try to be. Sometimes we are. But we more or less are very emotionally connected to every result every Sunday or Monday night. And when you stop and go big picture, like the guys at NFL.com do when they're looking at all 32 teams, and they look at, yeah, they're losing all these games, but they're ahead in most of them. They're half a play away from winning every game. They have all this talent. They're still figuring out who they are. Waller hasn't been healthy. Renfrow hasn't been healthy. They're better than their record shows. Now, I know for us, it's like no excuses. You got to win. You know, if we're not going to the playoffs, like then it's bullshit. And we stand by that. But if you're looking like power rankings and right this second, like if all 32 teams played each other in 31 games, right, where would the Raiders end up? With this roster and how those first 5 games went, I don't think it's insanely shocking to think that we'd be right in the middle of the pack.
It all depends on your perspective and how you interpret power ranking. If you interpret power ranking where the team is now, where as they've gone through their first 5 games, then this is ridiculously high. But if you look at power ranking as how this team, like you said, how they're trending and who they're going to be moving forward, and who, as you look at who they are as far as who they're going to be moving forward, of the team moving forward, I can see it. I can definitely see that 14 being, because we play a lot of teams tough, like you said. It's just little things that need to get cleaned up here and there. One play away on our 4 losses. Each of our 4 losses, we're 1 play away. We're a bad 2-point conversion throw away in Tennessee. We were dropped a fumbled pass against Arizona.
2 drop touchdowns away from in Tennessee.
I'm talking about the end of the game, like the last part of the game.
Okay.
So 2-point conversion sent it to overtime. That gets not a great pass, but whatever.
1 tackle away from winning in Arizona.
1 tackle away in Arizona, or a fumble. Yep. A fumble in overtime. Maybe not throwing the ball into triple coverage, in the first game. These are all one place. The
holding call on a field goal,
on a missed field goal at that.
Field goal. Yep.
So it's like we're 1 play away on all these losses, and from the perspective of the bigger picture, you could say that these 4 losses that we had that were 1 play away kind of match up with the 4 wins we had last year, where statistically we were not the better team on the field, and we ended up winning those games anyway to put us into the playoffs. Okay, now we're at even. Mm-hmm. The good juju and the bad juju kind of canceled out from the last 4 games last year and the 4 games we lost this year. Let's take this week to kind of wipe that clean, and now who we are from this point forward is who we're going to be.
It's like in poker, right? Like in Texas Hold'em, if you have a bottom pair in your hole and other person has 2 higher ones and you both go all in pre-flop, it's basically a coin flip, right? I have a pair of sixes. You have a jack and a king. We both go all in. It's a 50-50 shot, right? It's called a coin flip, right? How's it go, right? So many people have won the World Series of Poker just by being super lucky in all those coin flips, right? Last year, the coin flips went our way. This year, the coin flips aren't going our way, right? And I guess when that's your margin, when you're looking at this team as, all right, you just lost the close coin flips, and that's why you're 1-4 and not 4-1 or 5-0. I guess that's why you go 14. Like, yeah, they could be, because they're literally, you flip the coin 4 times and 4 of them, 3 of them didn't go their way. That's why they're 1-4. If they went the other way, they'd be 5-0. We'd be and then we'd be bitching because we're only like 7th, right? Because they were like, no, they won all these coin flips. Like, they're not better than the Bills. They're not better than, they just won all the coin flips. So like we'd be going like that other direction with it. So I thought it was absolutely insane when I first saw it, which is why I want to talk to you about it. But after we've talked through it, I guess I get it. I guess I understand the logic behind it. And that's reason for optimism moving forward, even though we've dug ourselves a pretty big hole.
The hole is big, and it has been dug, and we can climb out of it. We just do not have that margin for error, and we have to go in there and a tough game, regardless of how you feel the Rams are as a team this season. They have some high-profile players. They have some generational talented players on their team. We still got to go into there and a pseudo home game to win. I think we're at San Francisco as well, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be a tough game in San Francisco. They always play tough. Those are 2 games that I slotted maybe where they were going to be losses in the beginning of the year. Now, because we dropped a few that we shouldn't have, I mean, got to get those back. So yeah, it's this next stretch is going to be vital. We can't have any slip-ups. There is no more opportunity for a letdown game. Every game is going to be our Super Bowl.
You ready for some breaking news?
Sure.
So the wife is currently in Las Vegas for work.
Good for her.
And she just sent me a text.
And
Mark Davis is sitting behind me. And I said, send me a picture.
Bend over and touch your toes.
I just sent it to you. She's sitting at a dinner right now holding a glass of wine, and right behind him at a table with one other dude dressed in white, haircut, raging, Mark Davis. Raiders owner sitting behind my wife as we speak right now.
She needs to walk up to him and say, look, you need to go on my husband's podcast. It's a Raider podcast. It's called the Autumn Windbags. Isn't that the best name ever?
She needs to go over there right now and say, what the fuck did you do firing Rich Bisaccia?
Stop it. We need to use our strengths. And your wife is definitely a strength.
So now both members of the Clifford family have both met Mark Davis. Remember, he was on the floor for a Vegas UFC, and I walked by him, and it just kind of gave, pointed at my hat. I'm like, Raider. He just kind of gave me a smile. Now I'm gonna say that my wife's having dinner with Mark Davis right now.
I mean, she's not having dinner and drinks with Mark Davis. Yeah. Although he is having water.
Let me zoom in. I gotta take a look. Yeah. Well, you can tell they just said that looks like that's white wine in front of one of them.
That's water.
It's got a yellow tint to it, or maybe it's just the shirt reflection.
Those are your teeth, I think.
Oh my God, he's got a white T-shirt under a white sport coat
with a Raiders pin on it. That's got to be a Raiders pin.
It has to be a Raiders pin.
Oh God, I fucking love this man.
Yeah, my wife's having dinner with Mark Davis right now.
You need to tell her in her white pants, she needs to walk over there, she mows your thing over there, and tell Mark Davis, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. My husband is also. He actually co-hosts a Raiders podcast called the Autumn Windbags, and we would love for you or any of your people to be a guest on that show. Use your powers for good, RJ. Tell her right now to do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Go over there and tell him to come on my podcast. Just call me right now and walk over there and put him on speaker.
That'd be great.
I'll hold my phone up to
fucking let's do it right now on the show.
Let's do it.
Don't be a dick, RJ. Just do it.
I'm not there.
Have her do it. Did you ask her?
I just texted her.
Okay, I didn't know you did.
Yeah.
Because you've met Max Crosby 17 times and hasn't been on the show yet.
My wife can be a lot more influential.
Yeah, she's got a lot of influencers that we don't have.
She has a charm about her in her shirt.
Yeah, she has a very lovely charm.
Yeah. So we have a problem, but it's disguised as something good. Josh Jacobs is playing out of his mind. 140 plus rushing yards in back-to-back games. It's all in between the tackles. It's all hard yards. Our run blocking of our line is improving, but it's mostly Jacobs. Like his yards after contact are absolutely bonkers. He's got the third most yards rushing right now in football. And this was a running back room that we thought would be running back by committee. Oh, they drafted Zamir White. They're going to use him. They got Bolden for passing. Jakobson's going to get involved. They kept 5 running backs plus a fullback. Oh, man. Don't even bother drafting Josh Jacobs in your fantasy. It's going to be running back by committee. Nope. Not at all. Josh has put a C-clamp on that number one RB1 spot, the same way he's put a C-clamp on that ball because he doesn't fumble either, and is playing out of his mind. Now, why is he playing out of his mind? Because the Raiders didn't pick up his 5th-year option, didn't want to pay $8 million to a running back that has mostly been just a 2-down back and gets hurt almost every season. Understandable. I get it. We both agreed with that move by the Raiders. If Josh Jacobs keeps playing like this, what are the Raiders going to do? Are they going to end up having to pay him more to keep him? Do they let him walk and go in free agency? Do they – I hate to even put it – I mean, this is what I was asking for last season, but now it's kind of crazy to think about it. Do they trade him and try to get something out of him before he's a free agent? What do the Raiders do with Josh Jacobs, who's only got 12 games left as a Raider and playing out of his mind?
So first thing you have to ask yourself is, how do the evaluators for the Raiders see Josh Jacobs? How do they see him? I understand. I mean, the last 2 weeks, he has
with their eyes
370 all-purpose yards. So it's not just the rushing yards; it's the receiving yards as well. Yeah. And he scored 2 touchdowns last week? Another touchdown against the Cases. So 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. So he's finding the end zone. So look, the main thing right now is, how do you evaluate who he is and who he's going to be moving forward? What is your identity you want to have? Because look, if you want to keep Josh, if you identify Jacobs as a cornerstone piece of your offense, you cannot pay him the money you have to pay him as a star running back and keep Waller at the money you're keeping him and keep Renfro at the money you're keeping him. Because that goes against a non-blocking tight end and a slot receiver for this type of offense does not mesh.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to figure out, you can't keep all 3 of those. Davante Adams ain't going fucking nowhere because he's the best in the fucking business. Okay. Number 1. What you need to do is you need to put real capital, either draft wise or free agent wise. You need to put real capital into your offensive line. Now, I love Parham. I think he's doing a good job, but he's a 3rd-round pick. There, Munford, they like him a lot, but he was a 7th-round pick. I'm talking about real. How bad is that Christian Darrisaw pass overlook now? He's a starting left tackle for the 4-1 fucking Vikings. God damn it. Anyway, I told myself I wouldn't bring that up again. I just brought it up.
You always lie to yourself.
I do.
And me and girls.
So the main you don't lie to your friends. You lie to girls. What movie is that from?
Put in the comment section.
Put in the comment section. You don't lie to me. You lie to girls. So that's the main thing. Because from what I see, your identity for this team must be run first, running offense, set up the pass. Because you have the guys that can win those matchups, and you have those matchup nightmares. You have that one matchup nightmare at receiver that when you want to take a shot, you know it's not going to be a 50-50 ball. When you throw a shot to Davante, that's a 100-100 ball. Like he's going to make something good happen. He's going to catch it, or he's going to knock it away, and it's not going to get intercepted if you throw it up to him, unless you throw it super short like week 1. So that's the first thing you have to think of, because you can't keep monetarily, you can't keep all these big ticket players on one side of the ball and have none of them be on your offensive line. Okay, so that's how I feel about it. I'm not saying that we should keep him or we shouldn't keep him. That's the first thing we have to do, though. If it were me, I would keep him, and I would try to find a suitor for Waller or Renfro, because it's just too much that does not fit the identity of your team, which is running the ball.
I absolutely love Josh Jacobs. Always have, always will. He runs so hard. He's so tough. The yards after contact are awesome. He never really became the passing back out of the backfield we hoped, but he's improved.
He has the last couple games.
He rarely fumbles. Great teaming. He's got a Raiders fucking tattoo, for crying out loud, right?
God bless him.
Absolutely love him. There is no way we can pay him market value. Not a chance. 0%. Here's a look at the highest paid running backs in football right now by average per year. How many of these guys do you think, how many teams do you think are happy with what they're paying these guys? Saints definitely aren't with Alvin Kamara. Cowboys definitely aren't with Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Saquon Barkley's playing pretty good until he gets hurt again, as always.
I think the guys making 12, the teams are happy with that.
Dalvin Cook, Derek Henry, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon.
Yep.
That much money for those guys.
Yeah. Because they're huge parts of their offense. Say what you want to say about Joe Mixon and about all the receivers they have out there. Joe Mixon had a huge year last year for Cincinnati, and it's no surprise that the games that Green Bay has lost, they had very low running back usage.
Josh Jacobs is the 23rd highest paid running back currently right now, for those who are keeping track. It's just so easy to find guys that can do something similar for a tenth the price. That's the problem, right? For the $16 million to give Christian McCaffrey, they could give some dude $3 million and get half the production, maybe more, for a fifth the price. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, like these guys are delivering. They're good players. Fans like them. The team would be less without them. But we have so many more uses for that $8 million that Josh Jacobs would cost us. Like that's a Pro Bowl right tackle.
Yeah, if you have a solid back, if you have a good offensive line, he can make that back shine. Mm-hmm. They can make that back shine. But the thing is we don't have a solid line. So we have to figure out what to do if that's going to be our identity moving forward, because we're not one player away on the offensive line from having one of the top offensive lines in the league. We're like 2 or 3 players away from that. So maybe Parham can develop into one of those, and we'll see about the rest of the right side of the line. But we're not in an enviable position, and that Leatherwood pick really fucked us over because he's not even on the team anymore. It's a tough position, because this next year or even the year after, you're not going to have the type of line that's going to make an average running back good. You're just not. We're just not that talented unless we sign a bunch of people. But you're already seeing that the guy you have in-house is able to do that with the line they currently have. So it's a tough one.
It's going to be this is the problem. It'll be a painful move no matter what. Either we pay to keep him, and it's a huge bite to chew, huge bite to take out of our salary cap. We let him go and hope that Zamir White can fill, and we're all going to miss him, and it's going to suck. We trade him, and the fan base just riots, but that means that Ziegler's looking ahead and saying, hey, instead of just riding him out. I think it also depends, too. Like, if we go 2-8, I think they trade him, right? If we win, like, 5 of the next 6, and now it's like, okay, we can salvage this season. Let's make a playoff run. Then you keep him. I think the middle part of the schedule is going to decide what we do with Josh Jacobs. Because if there's a playoff contender who loses a running back in like week 10 or 11, Ziegler's going to make that call. He's going to say, hey, you want a Pro Bowl running back? And also, this entire conversation is completely different if what happens to Josh Jacobs in the next couple games happens to him every season. he gets hurt and misses a bunch of games. Right? If he rolls his ankle again or clavicle or whatever the hell happened to his chest last season, right? Whatever injury happens and he's gone for a month, then it's not as painful anymore. And we got to understand, like, yeah, he's healthy and playing great right now. He gets hurt every season. He got hurt in college. He wasn't even a lead back in college. He was like a rotation of like 3 running backs, and he still got hurt. Like Ole Miss or something, he got hurt. That's still a thing. And 2 great games doesn't change a full NFL career of injury history. And it hurts. It pains me to say that because I love him. And I'm so glad he was a Raider. But those are the shitty part. Them's the facts.
Yeah, the shitty part, RJ, is do you have an offensive line that's good enough to allow you to play the way that you've seen is the best for your team to win? Do you have that line with an average back? Or what do you think of Zamir White? If you think Zamir White is pretty damn close to Josh Jacobs, then you let it roll. And
that's the question, right? Would Zamir White is it crazy to say that Zamir White would get 85% of the production Josh Jacobs is getting this season?
We haven't seen enough of him yet.
Is it?
That's probably why they're kind of keeping him under wraps. It's keeping Josh Jacobs' value high.
Mm-hmm.
Because if like, hey, you know what? You don't need to get rid of that guy. You got a guy to freaking replace him. He's nice. It's not that big of a freaking value.
Is that why they played Josh Jacobs so much in the preseason, trying to get eyeballs on him, find a training partner? Right? Josh Jacobs is going absolutely bonkers this season right now.
Well, this is what we called for. We called it. You called it. We just run him into the ground, use him as much as we can. It's not only does that help us as far as highlighting his attributes, but it's the way we need to play anyway. Or we should be playing anyway, and it's working out right now. So we should just keep riding it.
This is like that uncomfortable conversation when like you've got this awesome girlfriend, but she's moving back to Europe in 3 months, and like there's an end date, and so it's like, do you have that weird conversation, or do you just enjoy that time? Right? We're getting that awkward conversation out of the way right now, and we're going to enjoy the next 3 months with this buxom blonde from Portugal, because Josh Jacobs is going nuts. We're going to love it. We're going to talk about all the good stuff that is Josh Jacobs for the rest of this time. But we got that uncomfortable conversation out of the way now because it's very real. It's a decision that's going to have to be made, and there's going to be a lot of pissed off people no matter what that decision is going to be. Now, we'll just deal with the fun stuff. All right. Ready for some What Up Windbags?
Yes, sir.
Victor Nguiano. Trade Waller for a 4th-round pick and use that money to sign Jacobs. In the draft another tight end. Trade Waller for a 4th-round pick. Are we already there already with Darren Waller? Already there?
Be. No. Look.
And all we're getting is a 4th-rounder?
Yeah. You act like there's this type of tight end coming out in the draft every single year with his type of attributes. They're just not out there. He's one of the best best receiving tight ends in the league. You don't just get rid of him like that.
Is that useful when he's wearing a hoodie on the sideline? Making $18 million?
Well, shit happens, man. People get hurt. It's a violent game.
Jumpman23. Great show, guys. Oh, thanks. The next 6 teams we play are like the fat chick at the bar and you haven't gotten laid in a couple months. We're going to tear that shit up. Go Raiders. See, he's using examples that you can understand, Soto. Would you describe it as that? All the times you haven't gotten laid in 6 months, and
he didn't need the second part of that sentence. It's like the fat chick at the bar. All righty.
All right.
I know exactly what you mean.
Say no more. I don't care if I'm going in with a loaded gun or I just got out of the way of a 3-way. That chick,
yeah, man.
Sign me up. I've seen the Instagram follows that you have.
Dude, you fucking
Dominic 5. Coaching staff doesn't have a clue. From Josh McDaniels to Patrick Graham. Hell, for crying out loud, Graham and Clay Farrell lined up at cornerback. Checking Travis Kelce. Are you fucking serious? I brought this up for 2 reasons. One, our comments are full of a lot of fuck McDaniels, fuck Graham. For some irrational reasons and for some very rational reasons. But I loved that Clay Farrell on Travis Kelce setup. Because if you remember, it was Clay Farrell at the line, and his only job was to jam up Kelce. Like, all right, let's get a big, athletic, defensive end, someone who can physically match Travis Kelce, give him a bump, and then I think it was Merrick that was right behind Clay, and then he was in coverage. So you had, all right, just jam Kelsey, go rush, and then the safety handles the coverage. I thought, look, they were trying anything and everything and sometimes nothing to stop Kelsey, right? I thought that was like a unique way to go about it. It didn't work, but I kind of liked the creativity.
Yeah, that's what they were doing to Waller last year, and what they were doing in the inverse, what they were doing to Max Crosby last year, where they used Kelsey to block and then leak late as that tight end. But you have to understand that Cleveland Farrell he had the flat, right? He rushed because the running back stayed in the backfield.
Yeah.
So he had the flat covered. That was his responsibility anyway. He's already out there. So instead of lining up at the line of scrimmage when you're pretty sure they're not going to run the ball, what does it matter if he's out there, jamming Kelsey if he's going to be out there in coverage anyway?
I just like the idea of them getting like a big athletic guy to it's like, all right, the person that can cover Travis Kelsey doesn't exist, right? Someone as big and physical as him and as athletic enough to do it. So it's like, all right, let's just use two dudes, a guy that matches him physically and then a guy that matches him speed wise. Didn't work, but I like the creativity.
Well, it worked within the 20s. Once you got to the red zone.
20s. All right, that's it for us. If you noticed, No Good, the Bad, the Ugly on this show, we made it its own show on YouTube. If you're listening to it on the podcast, you're going to have to go to the YouTube to check that out. I'm glad we did, because when this comes out on Thursdays, and the game's normally on Sunday, it's like 4 days later. We're still doing it. This gave us a chance to talk about all the news that's happening, talk about Jacobs a little bit, etc. So we're still kind of trying to, maximize and polish this diamond to make it as shiny as possible. If you have any suggestions on what we can do better or worse or stop doing or start doing, let us know. Soto said he's fully capable of doing full frontal nudity. So that's out there. All options on the table.
On my OnlyFans.
Like I said, next week I'll bye week this week, so no post game show. So we'll still try to crank out some videos for you throughout the week. Like I said earlier, I will be in Abu Dhabi this week. Rory is in Dubai this week. You'll be home, so maybe we can do some sort of like Middle East show. It'll be middle of the night for us, or early in the morning for us, late at night for you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Make it happen. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.